Call this meeting of the Fremont County Board of Commissioners to order. If you'll please rise and join us for an invocation by Matt Cope, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray.
Turn that on, Matt. Thanks.
All right. Our Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this time that we can see government at work. We pray for your hand upon Fremont County. We pray for your hand upon each one of these lives involved. We thank you for your guidance. We thank you for your patience with us. We ask for your hand upon this county. Keep us all safe, healthy, and just guide and direct our leaders. In your name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner McFall.
Present.
Commissioner Bell. Present. Commissioner Grantham.
Here.
County Attorney Jackson.
Present.
County Manager Bryant.
Present.
Planning and Zoning Director Garrett.
Present. Thank you. We move to approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I am unaware of any changes we need to make to today's agenda. I move for approval as presented.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded for approval of the agenda. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And on to the consent agenda. If you'll notice number 7, we are not scheduling any public hearings at this time.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda, including the minutes for April 13 and April 27, approval of bills, the ratification of the chairman's signature on the jail-based behavioral health services OVH contract amendment number 2, the ratification of the chairman's signature of the Pathfinder Park Community Center navigation easement, and the ratification of the chairman's signature on agreement of legal services 2021 with Roger Larson.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
We move on to administrative and informational. We'll start with Sonny Bryant, County Manager's report. Good morning.
Good morning. So just a couple of quick updates. We are finalizing the RFP for the roof project. So a couple years ago in this building, we actually did the western portion of the roof replacement. We discovered that there were quite a few leaks up there, and there were multiple layers, I believe like 5 or 6 layers of roof over the years that had been put on. So we did a complete tear off and replacement, and we're actually going to go through and finish the rest of the building now. We've been saving much up money each year for that. So we're finishing the RFP for that piece. And the last item is we're receiving some guidance finally on the American Rescue Plan Act funds that are going to be coming through. This is the latest round of funds that are being distributed to communities. Fremont County is estimated to receive about $9.3 million in those funds. And like I said, they're finally starting to release some guidance, so we'll be working on those plans over the next few weeks on how we can best use those funds to serve the community. So that's all I have right now.
Thank you. Any questions for Sonny? Okay, Mr. Grantham, clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We actually have no monthly report this time around.
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll move on to the Public Health Director, Kayla Marler, for an update. Good morning, Kayla.
Good morning.
As of this morning at 8 o'clock, we had 90 confirmed community cases within the last 7 days. We are seeing an age range of 3 to 68. Most of those that are positive fall between the 18 and 40-year-old age group. We have 12 active hospitalizations. Those age ranges are from, those individuals' age ranges are from 39 to 81. And it has been confirmed that those individuals were not vaccinated. We have a total of 56 deaths in Fremont County. FCDPHE has administered 11,932 first and second doses, and this was as of yesterday. And then countywide, 25,940 have been administered throughout all of the COVID-19 vaccine providers. We have a couple of events coming up. Canyon City High School, they just had a clinic on May 5th. They hosted a vaccine clinic that was conducted by FEMA. And the great thing with this is they were able to provide Pfizer. As at the time of the first dose clinic, individuals 16 and above were able to get vaccinated. The second dose clinic for this location is May 26th. Florence Junior Senior High School is providing a Pfizer clinic as well, and that is today from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. It'll be a first dose, and then their second dose is on June 1st. I did get information last night that they were going to go ahead and provide Pfizer to individuals that are 12 and above, and they came back this morning and they're waiting for a little bit more guidance from the federal government. So at this time here in Colorado, we're not able to provide Pfizer to individuals that are 12 and above.
Kayla, what's the participation with those high school kids? Do you
So,
know roughly?
yeah, on May 5th, we had 98 students that came through that were 16 and above. So I think that was a really great turnout. I do believe that once we're able to vaccinate 12 and above, we're going to see an increase in a lot of these Pfizer clinics. And then in May, on May 16th, 18th, and 19th, the Colorado mobile unit will be here. This clinic is actually conducted through CDPHE. They come in on a huge bus and they're able to vaccinate individuals. Right now, the mobile unit will have both Pfizer and J&J. So I am really, really hoping that we will get clearance that we can vaccinate the 12 and above. So on May 16th, the mobile will be parked at the Florence Fire Department. This is also the same day as the Florence Car Show. The bus will be closed on the 17th. Then on the 18th, they will be parked at Fremont County Department of Human Services, which I think is fantastic that they're able to bring that one dose vaccine in. So I'm foreseeing us to utilize it a lot on the 18th. And then the 19th, the mobile unit will be at the Canyon City High School. And this is actually graduation. So they're planning on being here like at noon and running until 8 p.m. The only thing is they'll be here once, and so if individuals choose to get the 2-dose Pfizer, we will have to set something up and refer them out, which we're in the works of trying to be able to store Pfizer in the health department. We don't have the sub-zero freezer, so we're working on that. But right now, our goal is just to bring in as much vaccine, give as many options available to Fremont County residents, and hopefully it'll be easy to access. So we do have flyers out already for the FEMA clinics, and we are currently working on flyers for the May 16th, 18th, and 19th. So all of that will be coming out, should be this week. CDPHE is creating those flyers for us.
Can I still contact the health department to make appointments for those?
So the ones for the Canyon City High School and Florence High School, on the flyers, this is what the flyers look like. They're actually going to go through the Centura pop-up. And so if they have not seen the flyer yet, call us. We'll walk you through it. We'll help you. And then on the May 16th, 18th, and 19th clinics, there will actually be a different registration for them. So if anybody has, and it will be on the flyer, but if anybody has questions, we're more than happy to help. Also, the health department's still running clinic on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we are only pumping out Moderna at this time. So, if anybody needs the vaccine, has questions, we have staff that will definitely help with that.
Kayla, what is the best number for folks to call?
The main health department phone number? I don't know what that one is.
I don't have it off the top of my head
Sorry.
either.
I'll see if I can help you out.
7450.
What is it?
276-7450.
There you go.
276-7450.
276-7450.
Thanks, Michael.
All right.
I'll get it down one of these days. give it about a year or two.
I also just wanted to make the comment, I think the ultimate goal, what you're all striving for, is that every person who wants the vaccine has full and complete access to that vaccine.
Absolutely. You know, and there's some that prefer Pfizer over Moderna, or they just want that one dose. They're like, hey, I'll get vaccinated, but I only want to go one time. So that's what we're trying to do. It's not that we're trying to push it on anybody. We just want to make it available to everybody and easily available. Also, testing, we are still seeing an increase in testing. And so MACO is still located outside the health department, and they test anywhere from 10 to 4, Monday through Saturday. Yesterday, we've seen 107 people come through our line. Last week, the lowest number was 39, with our highest number being 118. So, I mean, we're still seeing, especially on Mondays, we see anywhere from 107 to 165 being tested on Mondays.
Do they need an appointment for that, or can people just show up?
If they would like to pre-register, they can. It's not an appointment. It's just getting your information in the system. So then when you pull up, it's just a really quick in and out. But if they're not able to, all they have to do is pull up.
Okay.
Same way with our vaccine clinics. Tuesdays and Thursdays, walk in, we'll get you. We have enough vaccine. So I know some individuals, you know, don't like to utilize the computer, or doing the registration online is difficult. So we are just here to help.
Kayla, on a different note, you guys are having other stuff that goes on in the health department, typical stuff besides COVID too. I mean, you still have flu shots, you do other vaccinations, other shots, you're having a blood drive, I believe. There's all kinds of stuff happening in the health department besides COVID, so.
Correct.
You guys are pretty busy over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we have flyers out for our blood drive. We have 50 slots available. I think right now we have like 28 people signed up. I know last week the registration was down, and so if you weren't able to register at that time, please get back on. Love to have you. And then we do everything from tobacco prevention to opioid prevention. We're about to come up on back to school immunizations, so we will be getting all of that information out as well. It's never ending.
Seems weird, school's not out, but yet it's back to school vaccinations again.
You have someone
Yeah.
with a question over here.
Yes,
I don't know
ma'am.
if you-
I'm Jerry Ripley, President of the Untitled Chamber of Commerce. I have a question for you. Has Fremont County looked at possibly providing any type of transportation for those that are not able to drive to these vaccination clinics so that they can be taken there and vaccinated and back to their homes?
Thank you.
Yes, that's actually a really good question. Yeah, no, we are currently working on a mobile unit for our homebound residents, and we're working through a clinic. We just haven't got all of those details up and running here in Fremont County. I know that it's been extremely successful in Pueblo, and so we're just kind of piggybacking off of what they did with their home health system there. So hopefully we're going to get that up and going. What has held us up is they're taking vaccine off-site. It's a process. In addition to that, if I was to send my nurses out, we look at different liability options. So what we're trying to do is what Pueblo, and we have had multiple people contact us that are caregivers that are needing to get their homebound parents or family members vaccinated.
Also, don't forget, folks do have access to the Golden Age Transportation Shuttle. They just need to call and make an appointment, and they can help get people there too.
Okay. Yeah, and that might even be something we need to promote on our Facebook and our website.
Sure.
So.
Yep.
Yeah, they were down for a minute because somebody was exposed to COVID a couple days ago, so it may be a day or two before that's back up, but that is a good idea, though. Any other questions for Kayla?
All right.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Okay, we'll open it up now for comments from anyone else up here. Commissioner Bell.
Sure. A week ago, I had the opportunity to attend a scholarship awards night at Florence High School. 'Tis the season. Kayla just mentioned graduation, and it was a wonderful night. And I think they gave away to a few dozen Florence High School seniors alone probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $250,000 in scholarships. So I just want to say congratulations to each and every one of you. Very well deserved. I know how hard you all work in school. We also understand these last 2 years have not been easy years for any of us, but I think especially for those of you who are going through your junior and senior years in high school. It's been an incredibly difficult time. Things will get back to normal someday. Unfortunately, it's not quite today, but I just want to say congratulations to all of you. Job well done.
Thank you.
You know, I was just thinking, after a conversation with fellow commissioners this morning, it comes to mind that maybe a quick reminder for everyone that's listening that, you know, when you start hearing rumors about things that happen and decisions that have already been made by the Fremont County Commissioners, I would encourage folks to give us a call. We are here and available to put to rest any false information that may be out there. We'd be happy to share with you whatever the processes are as far as how things operate and how things are done through the process when approval has to be done through the county and in some cases through the state as well for certain permits, et cetera. Feel free to give us a call. We'd be happy to share what the process is, going through planning and zoning, going through the processes of public hearings, planning commissions, the long involved process that is that everyone has to go through. And we'd be happy to share with you what that is so that we can put to rest any bad information that might be out there. And I'll just leave it at that.
Good information, thank you. I just want to touch on one thing Sonny brought up earlier, the American Recovery Plan Act, the ARPA money, that we finally did get direction from Treasury yesterday. I started going through it. The first piece of it I was looking through was 151 pages, and that's just part of it. So it's going to take us a little bit to figure out where and how we can use those funds. But I think our goal is to use those to help the community and everybody within it as best we can. So hopefully we'll get that figured out and deciphered what we can use it for, and transportation may be one of those things. I believe it is, if I remember reading that we can possibly use that for anything that COVID has affected. So there's going to be a lot of studying going on but amongst us up here to figure all of this out exactly so that we spend it correctly, because if we don't, then we've got to pay it back to Treasury. So we want to do it right the first time, and $9 million is a lot of money, but it can be used very efficiently and go a long ways if we do it correctly. So that's what our goal is. I just want to bring up, yesterday we had a little meeting with Florence City Council, and they talked about the car show. I think Kayla mentioned a minute ago. It's this weekend. They're expecting 300 cars, so it's going to be a great car show. So there's going to be a lot of people. But with that being said, if you don't feel comfortable without a mask, wear a mask. You are outside, but use your own common sense and be safe and keep others safe, but have fun and enjoy the car show. The weather's supposed to warm up other than what it's been the last couple of days, but thank God for the moisture. Anybody else? Okay. Are there any citizens who wish to address the commissioners of any items not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. We have one item in old business, which is an approval of a minor subdivision, 20-002. 21, what did I say? 21-002 that will create, I know that's maybe why I stopped, which will create a total of 3 lots in the property located off just State Highway 115 and Telk Road. We carried this over from the last meeting, tabled it because the representatives weren't able to make the meeting that day. So we carried it over, and I'm asking commissioners now if we can move this to after the public hearings, because one of the public hearings also involves this property, which is a zone change, and we need a zone change before an approval of a subdivision. Otherwise, the subdivision is a contingency for a little while. That makes sense.
Mr. Chair, I would move that we move the old business item, number 1, for the approval of the minor subdivision 21-002 until immediately following today's public hearings.
I'll second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded to move old business to the after the public hearings, which will begin at 10 a.m. Is there any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That made sense to you guys also, right, Matt? Sure. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we move on to new business. The first item is Foster Care Awareness Month, and we have a proclamation. We have Representatives Tony Carochi and Barry Acton. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
So thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today to raise awareness about Foster Care Month. In 1988, President Reagan issued the first presidential proclamation that established May as National Foster Care Month. May was designated as Foster Care Month to recognize that we each play a part in enhancing the lives of children and youth. Foster care is intended to be a support to families, not a substitution for families. Each May, we take time to acknowledge foster parents, family members, volunteers, mentors, child welfare professionals, and other members of the community who help children and youth in foster care, and also to celebrate those who make a meaningful difference in children's lives. On average, 10 children and youth enter foster care each day in Colorado. Foster parents provide a safe, temporary home for children and youth whose parents or caregivers are unable to care for them. When children or youth are removed from their home and a caseworker is unable to identify relatives or a family friend, they are placed in foster care. Colorado is experiencing a shortage of foster families and parents. We need foster parents in every community in Colorado, especially Fremont County. There are few limitations on who can become a foster parent. Everyone must be 21 years of age, pass a background check, complete training, and receive a home study from a county Department of Human Services or a child placement agency. The foster parent training and certification process prepares prospective foster parents to care for and support a child or youth who has experienced trauma, grief, and loss. If you have time and patience to dedicate to helping a young person work through the challenges that often accompany a difficult childhood, we need your help. The first step is to contact the Fremont County DHS or a child placement agency and attend an information meeting. So thank you for allowing us to be here today to lift up a very important issue in this community.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
May is National Foster Care Month, and I appreciate the opportunity to read this proclamation in front of everyone today, and I'm truly excited to move forward. Whereas Foster Care Awareness Month is celebrated nationally to raise awareness regarding foster care and to encourage increased community involvement as foster families, volunteers, or mentors, and whereas there are numerous individual, nonprofit organizations, and public servants who are dedicated to raising awareness about the needs of children and youth in foster care, and whereas children are the key to Colorado's future success, prosperity, and quality of life, and whereas children have a right to thrive, learn, and grow, and whereas the Human Services Agency oversees the children and youth in foster care in Fremont County with the goal of ensuring safety, permanency, and well-being of children in Fremont County, and whereas those who have wholeheartedly committed to the welfare of the children in foster care despite all of its legal, economic, and social challenges continue to fight to protect the rights of children and improve their outcomes. And whereas Colorado has experienced a shortage of foster families and is in need of families willing to care for teens, children with complex behavioral and mental health needs, and siblings, and whereas we must recognize the important role foster parents play in caring for children who have experienced abuse and neglect, supporting family reunification, and building strong communities, and whereas foster parents provide the love, safety, and stability that young children need in order to overcome past traumatic experiences in order to reach their full potential, and whereas we all play a role in ensuring Colorado's children are healthy and safe and are able to reach their full potential. Now, Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of the County of Fremont, State of Colorado, proclaims the month of May 2021.
Thank you. Commissioners?
Yeah, if I could, one thing I would like to add to the conversation is kids who go into foster care already are traumatized. They've been taken away from a lot of their life. I mean, their families are no longer accessible to them at that moment in time. If we don't have enough foster families here in Fremont County, those kids will be placed elsewhere.
That is correct, out of county.
They go outside the county. So now not only have they been taken away from their families, but they also have been taken away from their friends, from maybe other relatives who are unable to care for them. They've been taken out of the schools. They have no friends left. They're put into a totally and completely new environment and told that there's help here, but you're going to need to adjust. These are the things that we need for you to do in order to be successful. I just can't stress enough how important it is for kids to be able to stay in their own community. And that truly is the reason I think that we continue to do this proclamation every year. We are so appreciative of our foster families here in Fremont County. It's not an easy job. It really is a job that you absolutely have to have a heart for. But I know so many families who would make incredible foster families for kids here in our own community. So just along with the two of you and all of our Department of Human Services, I would urge anyone who has any interest at all, reach out, have the conversation, find out what is expected of you, what it will include, what it will encompass, and find out before you make a decision. We really do it for the children. So thank both of you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Can't improve on that, so ditto to all of them. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Well, with that, Mr. Chair, before you continue, I move to approve the Foster Care Awareness Month proclamation for the month of May 2021.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded to approve Foster Care Month Awareness Month to be May 2021. Any further discussion? I just want to say that in one of these whereases, it's despite the legal, economic, and social challenges. I know that's got to be tough, but I know you guys also have a great staff out there that helps people accomplish that, to give these kids that may have mental health or behavioral health issues and stuff. So it's very important to try to work through those, and we appreciate everything that you guys do, and ditto on what both commissioners said, I guess, even the ditto part, but appreciate all of that. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for being
Thank you,
here.
Commissioners.
All right, we've got a few minutes for public hearing start, so we'll move on to number 2 right quick, and that's a review and discussion of the Fremont County Local Disaster Emergency Declaration, which we are still under and will continue to stay under as long as the state is under one. That allows us funding, monies, federal and state, to help fund the clinics and stuff that the health department is putting on. Anything else that comes up because of COVID, it allows us for that. Within this declaration of disaster are several things that have become more complicated as we've moved ahead, I guess, and one of those being the mask mandate. So I'll open it up to the other commissioners for comments on that.
Well, Mr. Chair, probably the only comments I would have on that right now is we are still trying to sift through what all of this actually means on these latest changes. And as far as the mask mandate goes, just so everybody's aware, you know, this is something that still takes place on the state level from the governor's orders. And as far as the requirements to wear masks, you know, that's not coming from us, and we still encourage you to use common sense. And if there's a private company, organization, retail establishment, or whoever that requires it from you, then by all means you should if you want to do business there. But there are no masked police running around Fremont County.
Again, just be responsible, be respectful of other people, be aware of your surroundings at all times. I think those are the most important things that we can do right now. As we continue to stretch out, once again, this emergency declaration, we currently have it basically kind continuing until we end it, and that simply is because of the funding mechanisms and the funds that will be available to us if we do have an emergency disaster declaration in front of us, so.
Thanks. I agree with everything that was just said. Our health department is always willing to take calls for information on that. And once again, I think they'll refer you to the state because it is the governor's executive order or the CDPHE's public health order. The executive orders, in my opinion, are so convoluted that it's really hard to figure out exactly what's what because it refers back to executive orders over the last year and a half, and there's 100 and some of them. So you've got to be able to go back and check all of those. But common sense, respect, that's all we can ask from anybody, and just everybody take care of yourselves and respect others' boundaries and that type of stuff. And we'll get through this. We'll keep going. Kayla mentioned our numbers. I think they're kind of level right now at the moment, but they could at any time go up. But just be careful when you're out there gathering and doing stuff, and we'll get on through this. Okay, anything else? All right, the hour has reached 10 o'clock, so we are going to start our public hearings, and the first one on the public hearing is a zone change, which is a 21-001, self to change the zone district for the property located at State Highway 115 and Telk Road from agriculture living to agriculture suburban. We have Matt Koch here for representative. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning.
Let me open the public hearing here. Now it's you.
All right, we are requesting a zone change from agricultural living to agricultural suburban. It's approximately 6.7 acres. The property is located in between Canyon and Florence, right off Telk Road and Highway 115. The purpose of the zone change is to allow us to subdivide into 3 lots. 3 lots will be 4.5 acres or more, and that's all I got to say on that.
Okay, any questions for Matt at this point?
Not yet.
No. Can I get a staff report? Sean, good morning.
Good morning. The department has reviewed the application and finds it to be a complete and true representation of the requested herein. And with a zone change, there is approval criteria, at least one of which has to be met. The department believes that there has been a material change in the neighborhood that justifies the zone change, and in addition to that, the zone change will be in conformance to the Fremont County Master Plan in relation to the area and district that it is located in. There are no contingency items. It's pretty straightforward, and again, the request is to be able to subdivide as ag suburban allows for smaller lots.
Okay, questions for Sean?
I have none.
Sean, did you say there are contingencies?
There are no contingencies.
No
Okay.
contingencies.
That's what I thought, because I didn't see them here. Thank you. Okay, then, commissioners, if no questions, entertain a motion.
It's a public hearing, Mr. Chair.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there any public who wishes to speak on this? The property is located on 115 in Telk Road, and it is a zone change. Okay, seeing none, we'll close this public hearing. Now we'll open it up to the commissioners.
Sure. So this is very straightforward in my mind. I'm very familiar with the area. I know exactly where this is located. I don't think this is going to cause any hardship whatsoever for anyone, much less any undue hardship for anyone. So with that, Mr. Chair, I move to approve zone change number 21-001, south, to change this zone district for property located at State Highway 115 and Telk Road from agricultural living to agricultural suburban. And with that, accepting the department's recommendations, there are no waivers, no contingencies, and the zone change approval criteria from this board are: there has been a material change in the neighborhood that justifies this zone change, as well as the zone change will be in conformance to the Fremont County Master Plan in relation to the area and district.
Second.
Do you need a resolution number for that?
Yes, we will need a resolution number.
It would be resolution number 25.
The last one was a special, right?
24. Okay. So it has been moved and seconded to approve zone change 21-001, self from on the property located on Highway 115 Telk Road from agriculture living to agriculture suburban. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bell,
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham?
Aye.
Commissioner McFall?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
On to item number 2, which is a temporary use permit for VFW Post 2788, Loyalty Days Parade for issuance of a temporary use permit for a parade to be held May 15th, 2021 from Illinois Avenue to Fremont Avenue via Broadway Avenue. And we have Geraldine Rimpley here this morning.
Good morning, Jerry.
Good morning.
Hi, Deb.
This is a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing.
I am Jerry Rimpley. I am the Department of Colorado Junior Vice Commander and also the quartermaster for the local VFW Post 2788. My department commander has tasked me with the job of planning a Loyalty Day Parade. This is an event that a lot of folks don't know very much about. I don't know if you even saw it in the paper or not, but Russia just recently, on the 1st of May, they celebrate their freedom or whatever it is. Well, in contrast, the United States back in 1955, the Congress said that we would do the same thing, but it would be called Loyalty Day Parade. It's not been carried forward very much, but the VFW still carries that tradition on. This parade used to be conducted in Calhan, but the department commander's intent is to move it to a more central location here in Colorado, and with my experience having put the parades on for Apple Day as the president of the Chamber of Commerce, he's tasked me with also doing this parade. It's a very simple event. We look to have this parade start at the corner of Illinois and at the corner of Fremont Avenue. We have all the requirements as explained by the Planning and Zone to include trash, crowd control, everything. Immediately after that, we're going to have a picnic for all those that participate and anybody else that wants to join us to celebrate Loyalty Day right at the VFW. So my intent here is to request approval of the temporary use permit and also request approval of waiver of half the application fee, as we are a nonprofit organization, and during this entire event there will be absolutely no fundraising to support this event.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Just
Jerry,
that
Shirley?
I see no vendors will be included in
No.
this event, correct? So it's just the
Correct.
parade followed by the
Just
picnic?
the parade, boom, done.
Okay, and who are the entries in the parade going to be?
Right now, I have 6 entries. I have the Marine Corps League, the Kit Carson horse team. I have a realtor, and a few others. I've only got
That's-
6 applications.
that's
It's
fine. You
not
don't
very
need to
big
name them
because
all.
this, again, was our initial year doing it. I had a very late start with it. Most of the participants that did it in Calhan were locals in Calhan. And if you're familiar with Calhan, that's pretty far away. They didn't want to come here to Penrose. And with the car show the next day, I really couldn't tap into that avenue either. So we kept it small for this year with the intent of building it. We are going to look at making it an annual thing because I will also be the commander for the VFW here in 2 years. So I will also want the parade to be right here locally for myself. So right now we only have 6 applications with possibility of some kids from the grade school participating. I gave some applications to a very good, dear friend of mine, little kid, and she's going to see if she can run up some kids to ride their bike, take a stick horse. I don't care. But we're just trying to keep it simple.
All right, thank you. No further questions from me.
Any questions yet? All right, staff report, please, Sean.
The department has reviewed the application and found it to be a complete and true representation of the request as stated herein. And the department finds that all requirements for the Fremont County zoning and development regulations would be satisfied by the application. They are requesting 2 waivers. One is the surety bond and other is 50% of the application fee.
Okay, any questions for Sean? Okay, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak on this issue? Now is the time. Okay, seeing none, I will close the public hearing and ask commissioners their wishes.
Well, Mr. Chair, I would move that we approve temporary use permit 21-002 for the VFW Post 2788 for the Loyalty Day Parade to be held May 15th, 2021 from Illinois Avenue to Fremont Avenue via Broadway. And also, as part of that, approve the waiver of the 50% of the application fee and waiver of the surety bond.
Second.
You need a resolution number for that one also, Sean?
No, we don't need a resolution for this.
All right, it has been moved and seconded to approve temporary use permit 21-002 for VFW Post 2788 for Loyalty Day Parade on May 15th. With that is approval of a waiver requesting the 50% cost of the fee plus a surety bond. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Please join us.
Best of luck. I hope you have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay, on to item number 3, which is OPC 14-011. It's pure medical modification of premises to replace one existing building and construct another building that connects the two buildings. And we have James Marks. No.
Unfortunately, James Marks had an emergency detention this morning, so I hope my presence will be acceptable in his absence.
It will. Just state your name and we'll go from there.
Awesome. My name is Carly Van Arnhem, representative for Pure Medical.
Hi, Carly. I know we've seen you here many times before.
Yeah, and I do have a PowerPoint and a clicker if you don't want to click through my thing, and I've also got it in email if that makes it easier.
Doesn't matter to me. Do you want to look at the PowerPoint?
Sure.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
So you can get that to work.
Thank you. And this, so you don't have to click through the
And this is another public hearing, so I'm going to open the public hearing.
Good morning.
Good
Thanks for
morning.
having us. And it's, yep, just that one right there.
I only have one USB, so let me move it onto my drive.
Oh, okay. Awesome. I don't know if this is that one in there yet. Well, maybe it won't. Oh, I guess it helps if it's on.
Typically.
Sometimes.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay, so as you stated, we are requesting a modification of premise. It's essentially a two-part modification. The first part is more or less we were looking to extend the building that we constructed last year to kind of connect the two buildings that are existing on the property. The purpose for this extension will add 2 rooms. One will be for state-of-the-art decontamination equipment. The state of Colorado has implemented several testing requirements. These testing requirements, given it's an agricultural product grown outside, has led us to the need of some decontamination equipment. It's a fairly large piece of equipment, and it requires a water chiller that goes along with it. So it really kind of needs its own separate room to function properly and to make sure that the water chiller is not in the same room as the piece of equipment, so no overheating happens. We will also add a second trim room. This is in part for a couple reasons. One is the change of standard operating procedures has led us to need a separate room for our trim machine to be separate from the room where all of the folks are housed actually trimming the equipment or the flower. Part of this, it has stemmed from social distancing requirements, COVID requirements, kind of giving everybody the space that they need. And also just an increase in production has required an additional square footage. We would also like to use this space to relocate our employee break room. Currently, our employee break room, the employee microwave, refrigerator, that sort of thing, is in relatively close proximity to the pesticide application cabinet, which is allowed. All the pesticides are locked up and compliant with the Colorado Department of Agriculture pesticide requirements. But just in general, it would be better if we could relocate that break room so it's not in such close proximity to the pesticides that we use. The upstairs of the building ideally will connect to the current upstairs of our existing building so that we can just walk all the way through from our existing building to the next building. And I do have some diagrams, so hopefully that'll clarify some things. The second part of this modification is simply to just demo the existing 1940-style hay barn, the pump house, and the chicken coop, and rebuild a new building in the footprint of those existing buildings. A couple reasons for this. Our hay barn is pretty dated. We're having trouble keeping squirrels out of there. They like to chew up the camera cables. They like to set off the motion detectors, all kinds of things like that. So ideally, we would just like to modernize the building. So as I said, all of this comes, one, just modernization of the existing buildings, and second, a change in standard operating procedures, and some different business needs have required this modification of premise. This is our current layout. This was done by a drone just this last year. This is the existing building. This is also an existing building, so the extension would more or less connect these two buildings. This is the existing hay barn. There's kind of a tree in the way, so there's a little bit better picture of the buildings that we would like to take out and then just rebuild a two-story building in that footprint. So here's a diagram that just kind of shows the layout. This green building right here, that would be the extension. This looks very similar to our current diagram because more or less it's just taking that same footprint of those existing buildings there. And this is an internal diagram of the building. So basically, this is the existing building, and right here is an existing building. And we would just be using this to connect the two buildings. There would be an entrance right here and an entrance right here, so we could get into the two existing buildings from this extension. This would be the additional trim space. This would be where we would locate our decontamination equipment, break room with stairs. The second floor is, JR kind of drew it littler, but it's the same square footage. It would just be one big open room. There wouldn't be any individual rooms on that second space.
And Carly, what is the square footage of that? The space to connect the two?
Let's see here. I guess it's about, those are all 20 feet, so 60 by,
20.
Is it 39? Yeah, 40 feet, 40. 60 by 40.
Okay, thank you.
And the upstairs room would primarily be used for drying, and then once the plants are dry, it would then be converted into storage. Again, I mentioned a change of standard operating procedures, kind of a change in harvest protocol has led us to harvest the plants differently, so we need more area for drying. And then once those plants are dry, then we can convert it into storage space. So there won't be any additional cultivation space. There won't be any need for any power upgrades, anything like that to run this decontamination equipment. It all runs off of just standard electricity. So it's all pretty much administrative. The second building that we would like to demo the old buildings and rebuild is pretty straightforward. It's just two-story, one big open room that will again be used for drying. Storage if necessary, but we're hoping we can take care of that all in the other building. And I had mentioned that we wanted to connect the upstairs. So this is the existing building. This is the upstairs of the existing building. Currently, this wall goes all the way across right there. So basically is what we'd be doing is taking out that wall and then adding some square footage that basically just extends. This is the bottom floor here. So it just, that top level would just extend by this much over our current existing space. So again, we're not seeking any additional cultivation space. It'll allow us to update our outdated 1940-style hay barn. The added square footage we're going to be used for harvest procedures. This would not increase or cause any problems with our lot cap. We'd still be well under that 15%. So, anybody have any questions?
I find it ironic that you have decontamination equipment. I just sat funny for some reason.
We do too.
No. Hey, people are using this for medicine, I guess, but you have decontamination equipment. So, any questions for Carly?
Not at this time.
Okay. Staff report, please, Sean.
Okay, good morning. All minimal submittal requirements have been met. The replacement building will increase the ability to control odor in comparison to the existing building. As stated, the modification will not increase noise, odor, plant count, or lighting issues or concerns. The department has not received any complaints for the facility, and the operation is compliant with the regulations. The department would recommend approval of the modification of premise, noting that all building and fire codes will have to be met. With the connecting of the two buildings, we start getting into different size requirements, so there may be some additional building or fire code related issues that would have to be taken care of.
Okay, not a problem.
Any questions for Sean?
Yes, I do have one.
Okay.
The no complaints statement, is that over the past year? I know that way in the past, we have had complaints about this particular grow, correct?
Yes, and in the past we have. Over the last past year, we have not had any complaints. It's been some times that we've had a complaint on the
Okay,
facility.
so at least a year, if not much
Yes.
longer. Okay, thank you.
Any further questions for Sean?
None.
Okay, this is a public hearing. If there's anyone who wishes to speak on this item, now is the time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Sean, I have one question on the project engineer's comments about postponing this because of the minor revisions on the drawings. Was that all taken care of?
Yes, all that was taken care of.
The dimensions, I think the picture was blurry or something, and as well as the ventilation. That was taken care of as well?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, no one wishing to speak. I will close this public hearing. And ask the commissioners.
Sure, Mr. Chair, I am all in favor of increasing odor control and understanding and believing your statement that there will be no increase in either plant count or in cultivation space. With having said those things, Mr. Chair, I move to approve OPC 14-011, pure medical modification of premises to replace one existing building and to construct another building that will connect the two existing buildings.
As long as building and fire codes are met.
Well, those are, yeah. That's not usually a part of the motion.
Could be.
That's understood, I think.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve OPC 14-001 for pure medical modification of premises. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham?
Aye.
Commissioner McFall?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carly.
Item number 4 is request for an approval of a special review use permit for 20-004 for all-purpose landscaping for contractor's yard and landscaping business. This property is located on the south side of Highway 115 between Ash and Willow, and we have Justin Sandifer. There's Justin. Hello.
Good morning.
This is a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing. Good morning. Tell us what you got going on there.
Yeah, so we are a landscape company, lawn care, landscaping, weed control. We're requesting approval to use this yard for a contractor's yard to operate our company out of.
Where do you currently operate out of?
Here, sir. So we started this 13 years ago, and I didn't really understand that we had to get this zoning done. A couple years back, the Department of Planning came in and let us know that we were not meeting zoning requirements, so we started taking the appropriate action to try to get this approved.
Yeah, I noticed some of the dates on this were 2019, 2020 on the application.
Yes.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Sandifer?
I do have a question. I understand that you currently have offices off-site from this location, and part of the plan is to bring them on-site? Is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
correct?
Yes.
Where are your current offices located?
It's 303 North 7th Street, just right across the corner here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this would include building office space? Is there, what are your exact build-out plans for the area?
Yeah, so on the drawing there's a current building now, but it would, it's kind of small. There is a current a future office building that we have planned out there. I believe it's a 20 by 40, and then in the future, a potential 50 by 100 shop as well.
Do you have a time frame for that?
The office would be ideally within the next 12 months, and then the 50 by 100 building would probably be a couple years out.
Okay.
So you're talking about those two red footprints there?
Yeah.
As the new buildings.
Mhm.
The smaller one is the medium
Yes.
one. How many folks, how many, thank you. How many new vehicles, I mean, what is your current traffic in and out typically?
Yeah.
Before the office moves over here?
So there's 25 field staff that travel into there daily, and then the office would bring 3 more vehicles in.
Okay.
Just like a Zoom meeting, you forgot to unmute yourself, didn't you? Okay.
Can you hear me?
That's how we've been on Zoom too long. Okay, any further questions for him at this time?
Not right now.
Okay, can I get a staff report, please, Sean? Yes, let us get a staff report, and then we'll go to comments, absolutely.
Okay, good morning. We do have a complete application. The department does note some items of concern and of general discussion. One is the traffic. The applicant does have a CDOT access permit, and that is for 32, which is during the peak hour volumes for that area of the highway. The access going down is pretty narrow and does slope off the highway into the property, which the department believes this is going to add to some traffic concerns. The neighborhood and area, most of the neighborhood is residential and agricultural use. This is kind of a more heavier commercial use. There's some concerns about that fitting into there. The other is storage material. So thatch and other similar materials are brought from off-site locations, stockpiled, and then burned at the back of the property. That area is in the floodplain, and that has led to concerns and complaints. The Planning Commission did recommend approval of the application with the following 3 conditions: that the burn area must be moved to a location above the floodplain, the sign be moved to a location that does not block the line of sight when exiting the property, and that fencing needs to be approved along the sides and back of the property to obscure view to the neighbors.
Okay, any questions for Sean at this time?
Not yet.
Okay, this is a public hearing, so now I'll ask that anybody wants to speak on this topic. Now is the time. Yes, sir. And ask that after you finish, there's little slips of paper right there, if you'll fill one of those out for us too, so that we have your name and information.
I'm sorry in advance. I have a severe hearing problem. So I was leaning forward trying to get Mr. Garrett's points because I've been in that office so many times, they're probably sick of seeing me. I've been in repeatedly as soon as this got started behind our house, asking what was going on.
Sir, could you identify yourself for us?
My name is Gerald Ray. Gerald and Susan Ray, it's our name on the property there.
Okay.
All right. And I was told that Mr. Sandifer was told to desist developing things. He continued. I went in again. He's been told to desist. He continued. He continues until that resembles nothing of the field that it once was. One of my concerns is that because of that unwillingness to follow your guidelines that you've got in the county for developing something like that, to get a permit first, is my understanding, he's just gone ahead and it is fully developed now, except for a building. I didn't know any building was going to be going up. The original application he had that he wanted to store chemicals there. That was revised, wasn't it? To where he's not going to have chemicals there or something. Well, my concern is we wanted to have either baby doll sheep or geese or something to help with weed control. We have a terrible time with that down on the ditch. But I fear for any animals or birds that we would put down there. Because they sprayed something on our side of the fence a year or so ago that nothing has grown there. It's starting to come back now. I don't know if it would be safe for animals or geese at this time. I just don't know. We've lost 2 beehives because those beehives are in an area on the back of the property that you see there bordering his at the ditch line. That's the only place we have a tree that will shade the hives. And we've lost 2 beehives. Now, one we had originally lost to a bear, but it was taken care of. We did this. These beehives survived But now then, both have had to be replaced this spring. So I don't know if it's because of the chemicals that he might bring in or use there. Well, my concern is that, I mean, what are we to do? I mean, we came in, all right, this is residential and agricultural, and we kind of have fun with doing this. But we respect our bees or animals and things like that, and this has just been a major annoyance seeing this. There may be 20 vehicles out there right now. Have had everything from jacuzzis parked out there. There have been welding units out there. Snow plows are not actual machine plows, but the fronts where you put on trucks and stuff, parked all along the side. Trailers of different kinds, ATVs on trailers, and all those are put out there. All this with no permit. So the thing I've got in mind is that if you give them a permit, if they say, oh, well, we changed our mind about the chemicals, why would he follow any permit that you give him? Why would he stay with it? And that's my fear with this whole thing. And it's not, I mean, I don't want harmful chemicals around. I hate it that the look of the place has been developed and changed like it has. And I just don't understand, though, right now, again, had a real estate agent told me one time, said, you know, it's easier to ask forgiveness than it is for permission. Basically, what he meant was, I lie through the teeth, and later on say I'm sorry and get by with it. And that's my fear of what you're looking at here. I don't want to battle a neighbor. I mean, I don't say anything when cut limbs are thrown on our side of the fence. We take them out, we burn them. Haven't said anything beyond what I did last year about the chemicals on our side of the fence. But, you know, I just have to wait and see what will happen with them. But I just really, my concern is not that, I know he's invested money in that place, but every bit of it was in the face of your regulations that he has flouted. And I just don't understand rewarding that. I don't do everything right, but I sure want to respect what you guys put out in your commission. I want to do the best I can to follow those things. And if Mr. Garrett had to come to me and say, listen, you've messed up here, I work to try and correct it. But I'm not going to say, oh, sure thing, and then go further and further in developing whatever I'm doing wrong. Anyhow, folks, I appreciate it so much. Now, if you're going to ask me a question, I'm so sorry. You're going to have to give me time to read lips. And I've been in before, and you know, with your mask on and everything, how hard a time I've had. And they've been really patient with me in there. They really have. And I know they got sick of seeing me. But anyhow, that's basically all I have to say about that.
Thank you, sir. If you'll get one of those slips.
Oh, this?
If you'll fill that out for us.
That's what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this? And ma'am, same thing, just identify yourself, but then afterwards fill out one of those forms as well. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Renee Brose, and on your agenda, you list this property to the south side of 115. It's actually on the north side. I am the neighbor.
You know, when I read that, I thought that. Sorry about that.
I am the neighbor that lives directly on the south side, facing 115. And my only concern about the all-purpose landscaping is the traffic. There's wildlife, deer, practically every single day crossing that road. That's bad enough. The speed limit coming from town as you head toward Florence is 40 miles an hour until you literally hit just about his driveway. And it changes then to 50 as it heads towards McKenzie and into Florence. So you have all that prison guard traffic going back and forth already on 115. It's an extremely busy road. You have that, you have the wildlife, and then you have the traffic from his business. That is an accident waiting to happen. That is my only concern with this entire issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else? Okay, would you like to address those?
So I guess we could start with the traffic. That one's a pretty easy one. We have been operating out of there for 13 years and have not had an accident or caused an accident of our doing. And we did get CDOT's authority or permission on that. The other concerns, the tree limbs, I think what he's referring to is a contractor that came in and cut some trees, and it sounds like some got left on his property, but that was by far not our doing. The pesticides applied on the ditch bank was to, on our side of the ditch bank, was just to control and mitigate some vegetation.
Pesticides?
Well, I guess herbicide.
Okay.
Yeah. They call them pesticide as a group category, but we'll call it herbicide. And that was just to control some noxious weeds more than anything. We do store pesticides on site. I believe that's part of our application. It was definitely noted to the Planning and Commission Board when I was chatting with them, but we don't just pour herbicides on the property. They're stored in small 5-gallon containers inside and follow the Department of Agricultural's guidelines. So I don't really know what else to say about that one, but we do store them and they are stored safely.
Could you address for me the concerns expressed by Mr. Ray about spraying those chemicals too close to the property line and damaging not only his greenery that was growing on the other side, but the bees as well?
Yeah, so the product that we used to control the weeds was called Vessel, and on the label there's nothing that would harm bees in that product. We do have a product called Zenith that's a grub control, but we don't apply that anywhere at the shop. That would be for lawn areas, and we'd have no purpose to spray that there.
So you don't know what happened to the bees then?
Yeah, well, I mean, he has his beehives up. I've seen his bees there. I was unaware that he had lost any. I seen he just put some new ones up and kind of came up with a pretty unique idea. He put some plywood with some nails, I think, to keep the bear away, so hopefully that works for him. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to note one thing too, that if it was on your property and you contracted somebody and they left tree branches on the other guy's side, that's still your responsibility. You contracted with that guy.
100%, yeah. I mean, if I would have known that was an issue, I would have definitely taken care of it.
I never did close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed. One thing first came to my mind when I first saw this application is the traffic on 115. 115 is dangerous through that whole section and has been for years. The speed limits are what they are, but people don't necessarily drive those.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you're only increasing your traffic by 3 vehicles, which would be 6 trips, I guess, 3 in, 3 out,
yes,
potentially, with the other employees going in there. The other thing that I was bothered by was the burning of the slash piles, or whatever you want to call those, in the floodplain, because then you do get debris that go down and clog up the drainage.
Absolutely.
That's not a good practice.
Yeah. Yeah, we can 100% move that slash pile. And also, we don't even have to continue to burn it. We're open to just not storing it there anymore. So.
And then the other concern with the planning department and as well as just driving by it and seeing the driveway, it is pretty narrow. Do you have plans to widen that to make it easier to get in and out of when there's more than one vehicle possibly, or at least have the opportunity to move over?
It could be widened. I think we'd have to go to the east to widen it, but I believe it could be widened if needed.
What do you do currently, like for winter conditions on that driveway because it's pretty steep.
Yeah, four-wheel drive is definitely a must if it packs down on there. But we do plow it off and try to get it.
So the chair mentioned some of the concerns that the planning commission addressed as far as like the burn, and you just mentioned that. Their only recommendation was that moving it above the floodplain, but I like your suggestion, maybe just not doing it there.
Yeah.
I mean, keeping it in the character of the area, instead of having the smoke going into other folks. I mean, this is a residential-ish area, ag area, and maybe not having that would be a better idea. But what about the other two recommendations as far as the sign being moved and the fencing, et cetera?
Yeah, the sign is no issue. I mean, we can move that today if we needed to. We just pick it up and move it. I don't necessarily find that it's a hindrance to get in and out, but the commission did, and so I respect that, and we can move it pretty easily.
Okay.
And the fencing, trees might be a nicer option. Fencing is okay as well, but trees would gain more height, so that might be something that is debatable, I guess. Do some juniper trees or something, and that it's just a longer.
Right.
It takes longer to get there, but.
And I think the goal there, at least from the planning commission's viewpoint, is to obscure that view, and so maybe there is both the immediate and the long-term solution that could be done at the same time.
Yep.
Any further questions?
I have a question for Sean. Sean, I apologize. I know I've asked this question before. The CDOT access permit is approved for 32 trips. Is that 32 round trips a day? Is that one trip in, one trip out?
So it's for 32 vehicles during the peak hour volumes, and a trip is either an entrance or an exit from the site. So a car going into the site would be considered a trip, and then that same car leaving the site would be considered a trip. So
I guess,
in and out would be two.
I guess my confusion then lies in the fact, okay, if you have 25 field staff, how many vehicles do those 25 field staff actually work in?
So there's 25 that come in, and there's about 12 vehicles that leave. And the peak hour is that would be like during 7 to 8 a.m. People are going to work, people are going to school, and so outside of those peak hours, CDOT was not concerned at all. They just wanted to know what, during that peak hour traffic, what our count would be. And I don't recall exactly that specific time frame. And that was 32 left turns, which is the worst turn to make, right, when you're crossing the road.
Because the department feels that the permit does not adequately address the traffic counts or the number of trips, and I'm kind of feeling that way as well. So I'm seeking a level of comfort from you here that I really don't feel that I'm getting.
So when that first concern that Sean had came up with, the CDOT had gave us like 32 trips total and didn't specify that that was peak hour. And I thought we had addressed that with the peak hour portion of that, or basically 32 trips per hour.
Okay, I'm going to have to go find that paperwork here in my list, so.
There was a different traffic count with the original application, and that was asked to address that in the deficiencies and comments letter that was sent out for the revisal, so that we had a more accurate traffic count.
So I see the access permit says terms and conditions on number 19 shall be stricken and replaced with this language: the peak hour volumes using this access is permitted for and shall not exceed 32 trips. Okay, so what time do your employees show up and what time do they leave every day? And then what time do they come back and then leave for the day?
Absolutely. There is the 25 field staff come in around 7 a.m. and then they vary out as they get their vehicles ready. The office is going to come in around 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock depending, you know, 2 of them come in at 8 a.m., 1 comes in at 9 a.m. And on the way back in the evening, it's very spread out. It's some will come in at 3:30, 4, 4:30, just depending on when their day ends.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions?
No, I don't think so.
Sorry, you can read this stuff 4 or 5 times and then you gotta go back and read it again. I've looked over it.
And we have 72 pages, so
numerous
we're
times, yeah.
scrolling a lot.
Yes, yeah.
So, but we are going to take the time that we need.
Absolutely.
I would just like to note that as a special review use, this use is not an allowed use in the agricultural rural zone district. That's why you're here before us today.
Yes.
And I guess actually I do have another question for you. I also don't appreciate it when people use the method of, yes, I'm going to do what I want to do right now, and then I will seek your forgiveness later. And I kind of agree that that's exactly how I'm feeling with this application right now. Even understanding it's taken at least 2 years to get this application to this board, and during the entire time, you have continued to use that property however you see fit with no one's permission to do so. Could you address that for me?
Absolutely. So as soon as the department came to us, I did start working on the application. It was very difficult on getting some of it took us forever on CDOT, and then again when we had to reback up to CDOT for those peak hours. It definitely took longer than I anticipated to get the application submitted. I do apologize about that. But we didn't continue to develop the property. We kind of ceased and stopped moving, but we did continue to operate out of there. But we had spoke with the planning department as far as, you know, I think it was Matt actually was involved at that point, and I went in and spoke with him, talked to him, and just told him we'll get working on the permit and try to get this straightened out. And we did continue to operate out of there, yes, but we didn't build new buildings or anything permanent structure-wise.
How many of your 28 employees are Fremont County residents?
Every one of them.
All of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
If this were to pass and you were to build this office building, you have septic system in place?
Yes.
And
It would have to get upsized probably a little. We would have to go through the proper channels on that, but I'm assuming there'd be a little bit of a redesign there.
And then you have a water tap as well?
Yes.
Okay, commissioners, any other concerns or questions?
I think my questions have all been answered.
Mine as well.
I guess just a comment, one more thing I have that Mr. Ray said was whether it was the chemicals that killed the bees or not, because we don't know.
Yes.
Just being neighborly, if you ever did go out there and spray, I'd hope that you would make contact with them and before you sprayed anything to see what was going on, or even weeds. Some of those weed killers will affect bees.
Yes.
We need bees.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
They're very precious to our entire environment and our existence. We need bees, and we don't need anything to happen to their existence.
I
So.
agree with you.
Okay, I'll ask my commissioners for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I will make that motion, but just preface my motion with just a couple comments, just to kind of reiterate what Commissioner Bell was saying earlier. It is just a little disconcerting that that none of this was checked out, you know, within the last 13 years until this is a zoned county.
Yes.
And while it's pretty obvious where you can build a residence, it's not always so obvious where you can put a commercial operation. I think this should have checked this out at the front end. And it's a little disheartening and hard to know what was in everybody's head over the last 13 years, but here we are now, and I get it. You've been operating out of that for 13 years, and I think the most critical aspect for me in looking at this is what does this do to traffic flow? And because that is kind of a dangerous area through there, and from reports I hear, there's been no accidents caused by you guys, and I think you stated as much just a little bit ago. I'm not sure what there has been total in that area regardless, but we're only increasing traffic by 2 or 3 cars, and it doesn't seem to be that big of an issue in relation to what currently exists. That being said, I'm going to make a motion to approve this. So, Mr. Chair, I move that the request for approval of SRU 20-004, all-purpose landscaping for a contractor's yard for a landscaping business, be approved. The property is located on the north side of Highway 115 between Ash and Willow Streets. I would also make that contingent on the conditions that burning not take place on the property, and that the sign be moved and as recommended by the Planning Commission, and that the fencing be improved along the back and sides of the property to obscure the view to the neighbors. I am looking at the rest of the list here, Mr. Chair, before I finish my motion. I believe the only other thing I would add to that motion, Mr. Chair, is I think it is kind of important, at least for the safety of people turning in and out of that the lane not be blocked on that driveway, and I think the condition should be also made that you widen that to a 2-lane access onto the property. I would add that to the motion.
Can I ask for a clarification?
Yes.
Did you say no materials to be burned on site if possible, or something whenever possible along those lines?
I didn't say if possible.
What was that verbiage?
My verbiage was simply that burning not to take place on the property. If there is another thought on that, I am open to that.
I am having the thought, the department's recommendation is no materials from off-site locations be allowed to be placed or burned on the site.
From off-site, not to be burned
From
on-site.
off-site, yes.
Gotcha. I am open to that, Commissioner Bell. I only stated it that way because it seemed to be an option for the company to burn it elsewhere, whether it was, but if it is stuff that occurs, if it is material from the site itself, then that's no more, no less than other people in ag areas do anyway. And so, yeah, I'd be open to that. So just, I would modify my motion to say that burning not take place on the property. That would be off-site materials. Off-site materials not be burned on the property.
Or placed on the property?
Or placed on the property. Well, I'm trying to see where you see that on this.
It's item number 2 under department recommendations.
The bottom.
Gotcha, on the bottom list. No materials from off-site locations be allowed to be placed or burned on site.
May I ask a question on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I am currently using fill dirt to build out or flatten out a section. Would that still be able to be done?
And materials is a very broad term.
Yeah.
Materials or slash piles?
Yeah, yard waste.
Yard waste, yeah. I mean, that's
Yeah.
because you're going to have fill, you're going to have gravel, you're going to have,
Right.
it's a contractor's yard.
Yes. Could we call it maybe organic material not be stored there? So like the grass clippings and tree limbs and those kind of things?
You think that would be clear enough?
I think so.
Organic waste material, off-site, from off-site?
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
Organic waste
It's a
material?
little clearer too than just off-site materials, because that's so broad.
That's everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's their cars when they drive them in. So I would clarify that with off-site organic waste material.
Thank you.
Okay, before I second, I need to just double check. The sign will be moved. Fencing will be improved to obscure the view of neighbors. Driveway will be widened. No materials from off-site, no organic materials from off-site
Organic
locations
waste.
to be placed or burned on site. And the fencing again, so, correct?
That's what I have.
Okay, I will second that.
And specifically on the sign, so that to be moved so that it doesn't block the line of sight when exiting the property.
I'll take it down today.
Okay, so it has been moved and seconded to approve SRU 20-004 for all-purpose landscaping with contingencies of no organic waste being stored or burned on site, the sign to be removed, the driveway access widened, and the fence being repaired around the property to obscure the view from adjoining properties. Any further discussion?
I do have a couple of comments. First, I would like you to know that the fact that your 28 employees live here in Fremont County has a lot to do with the decision that I'm personally making today. Secondly, I want you to know that we will be watching you. I understand your neighbors' concerns that you've been operating for as long as you have and apparently have had no repercussions whatsoever. But revocation of this permit always is an option for this board. So I want to warn you of that and to let you know that we do expect full and complete cooperation and adherence to those things that we are giving to you today.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
We have a motion on the floor, and any further discussion? Have a roll call, please.
Mr. Chair, I actually have a question for Sean. Does this require a resolution number?
Yes, we will need a resolution.
It'll be resolution number 25, correct? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I had to cut you off because the public hearing was closed, and we had already passed that point. That is the end of our public hearings. We are back to new business.
We are back to old business.
Old business, that's right, we need to do that one first. Old business was approval of a minor subdivision, 21-002, that would create a total of 3 lots. The property is located off State Highway 115 and Telk Road, and we have Matt Koch again, please. Hi, Matt.
Good morning again. We are requesting a 3-lot subdivision. This is on the property located between Canyon and Florence off of Telk Road. The proposal is for a 4.5 acre lot, 6.1 acre lot, and basically a 6.1 acre lot. The lots are serviced by utilities that are adjacent to the property. The 2 new lots, lots 2 and 3, will be serviced by a well for each additional house. This has been approved by the augmentation plan through the water district. It'll also be allowed for irrigation purposes as well for all 3 lots. There's an existing well for the existing house that will remain. All contingencies have been submitted to the department. The only one that was outstanding was the zone change, but we're through that. So other than that, I think we've got everything covered.
Okay, any questions for Matt at this point?
Just clarification on the map, Matt. The access for Lot 1 is up on Telk, correct?
Correct.
And then that access off of Highway 115, that already exists. So there's no CDOT issues on this one.
Correct. Yeah, that easement actually services 2 houses, 3 houses, as well as a mini storage facility. It is in place, and we'll be just accessing those 2 new lots off of that easement.
And the mini storage is right there to the east of that access? Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, can I get a staff report, Sean, please?
Okay, the department has reviewed the application and found to be complete in a true representation of the requests as stated herein. All minimal requirements for the Fremont County subdivision regulations will be satisfied by the application. There's no concerns. There is one waiver request, which is deferment of the drainage plan until time of development of lots 2 and 3. There is some existing drainage there that may be able to work. They just want a little more time to get that study done and get that figured out. As stated by Mr. Koch, all the contingency items have been met, so there are no contingency items.
Okay, any questions for Sean?
I don't think so.
Okay, wishes?
Hold on, I'm looking for that waiver request in writing, and I'm having a hard time finding either the staff recommendation or the actual request.
Well, while you're looking, I'll just ask another quick question. Matt, can you clarify on the well? You said that there's a well for lots 2 and 3? Or?
Correct. There's an existing well. If you look on Lot 2, the well is right there at the corner of the easements.
Gotcha.
Right now, it's been established as an irrigation well, but the augmentation has been taken care of through the water district to include the 2 households as well.
Oh, okay. So that'll cover both lots 2 and 3 then?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Sean, can you help me? I'm sorry, I can't find that waiver request. I see that the Planning Commission moved to approve with the waiver request as stated, and yet for some reason, I'm not finding that.
And so with the application, like I said, there is, on the southeast corner there, you can see that there is some drainage there. The original application was going to try to see if that was sufficient or not. And then working with the county engineer, it was decided that we would need more information for that. And then after that point, it was requested that they be allowed to do that at the time of development rather than time of application.
Okay, all right, good enough. All right, Mr. Chair, I'm ready with the motion.
Okay.
When you're ready. Yes, I move to approve. This is minor subdivision 21-002 to create a total of 3 lots. There are no conditions or contingencies with this. However, there is one waiver, and that waiver is to defer the drainage of lots 2 and 3 until the development of those particular lots.
I would second that.
You need a resolution for this one, Sean?
No, we do not.
Okay. So it has been moved and seconded for approval of minor subdivision 21-002, create 3 total lots. Property is located off State Highway 115 and Telk Road with the deferment of the drainage until development. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham. Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Now we're back to item number 3 in the new business, and we have reappointment of Dave Bowden to the Board of Zoning and Adjustment for a term ending February 28, 2023. We did receive a letter from Mr. Bowden stating that he would like to continue.
Mr. Chair, I move that we reappoint Mr. Dave Bowden to the Board of Zoning Adjustment for a term ending February 28, 2023.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded to reappoint Dave Bowden to the Board of Zoning and Adjustment, term ending February 28, 2023. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
We also had a letter of interest. The Fair Board was down a couple members. We had a letter of interest from Mia Corey, who is interested in serving a term on the Fair Board. She would be, if appointed, filling a vacancy with a term ending December 31st, 2022.
Mr. Chair, I've had the opportunity to read through Ms. Corey's information. She appears to be highly qualified and incredibly interested in serving in this capacity. So with that note, I move to appoint Mia Corey as the new member of the Fremont County Fair Board, filling a vacancy for a term that will expire on December 31st of 2022.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded to appoint Mia Corey to the Fair Board for a vacancy term ending December 31st, 2022. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And number 5 on the list, we have the Deer Mountain Ambulance License. We have Michael Crow, our emergency manager, here. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning.
Good morning. And I'm not going to mess with the microphone today, so everybody else has to pull it back down again. So I'm here today to recommend the approval of a BLS ambulance license for Deer Mountain Fire Protection District.
So, Michael, you and I had a little conversation, and we've had some communication with Chief Neblett from Deer Mountain up there as well in the past, but there was some concern that they may have been running their ambulance after the first of the month when their license expired at the end of last month.
That is correct. Having some concerns brought to me, I got with our FreeCom dispatch and got call logs, and it shows that it has been run multiple times since their license expired on April 30th.
Do you know at which point they had a medical director back on board?
According to Dr. Numson, who is the medical director, his medical director piece of that never went away, even though there was some confusion that emails weren't getting into the right inbox and stuff like that. His medical directorship never did go away, so they were operating under him as medical director the entire time.
Okay, thank you. You guys have any questions for Michael?
I guess I would ask the question, do you know if there are sanctions of any kind for them continuing to run the service when they were not licensed?
That is a question that I have not had a chance to ask the state yet, because the state was a piece of this back earlier this year, that they told Deer Mountain Fire Protection District that they were not to and could not legally run their ambulances on calls because they didn't have any EMTs and medical personnel to run as they were previously licensed as ALS or BLS, because Dr. Numson, as their medical director, did take all of their controlled substances, and the ambulances were not stocked to even run in the BLS capacity at that time, plus staffing. So that is something that I will have to look into and pursue if that's what you guys would like me to do.
I think it's important. I think at our last meeting here, where we licensed the other ambulances in the county and some without, but we had a person off of the board from Deer Mountain, and she acknowledged at that time that they couldn't run. We told her can't run the ambulance after the end of the month, and she acknowledged that. And actually have an email, and I'd like to ask Chief Niblett personally if he would come up. JR, we had an email from you as well, or I did, and Michael did at least, stating that you knew that there was no ambulance to be run after the end of the month because the license was expired, but yet it happened.
Yes, sir. We have a duty to respond when we can't get other agencies to help us out. It's not because they don't want to, they don't have the personnel. We had several instances that we'd had people that would have passed. They would have died if Kevin went and responded. Howard, myself, Just Saturday, we had somebody get caught in an auger. And, you know, you see his son, 17-year-old son, help my dad, please help my dad. And luckily, we got a bird in to fly him out to level 1 trauma in the Springs. It's like me, 50 years now, I've been a first responder. It's darn if you do and darn if you don't. You have a duty to act by law. There are rules. There are laws. I've lived my life, my whole life, adult life, 50 years, with these rules and laws. But what do? It's a gray area that I don't understand. Do you let them sit there and die? How do you get somebody there and you go ahead and take it upon yourself? And I take full responsibility, you know, for my actions and for my EMTs and my firemen. I take full responsibility. I just can't let them sit there.
Chief Niblett, were there any changes to the equipment or anything on the ambulance between the date of the inspection and the date you made the call?
No, ma'am.
So it was fully equipped and ready for approval at the time? Thank you.
We even had our medical, our drugs, everything. Yes, we did have some out of date, way out of date, Dr. Numson found out. And we had agencies help us, you know, to get back in service. Why we had the license on the ambulance, Mark would send an EMT from AVA. He would send an EMT, we would send our ambulance and driver. We were able to help our residents. And same thing, Mr. Anderson, he would send an ambulance, you know, if we didn't have one, when he could. And you know, it's my responsibility, and I take full responsibility for my actions.
Well, I get to that point. First of all, I appreciate everything the first responders do, and there is that gray area, as you put it. There's rules in place that you have to have a licensed ambulance, and that is for the protection of the folks on the ambulance that you're picking up, as well as the staff. And at the last meeting, at that point, you didn't have the staff. I think you've hired somebody since then, which is great. But also the medicines were out of date, so they were taken off the ambulance and destroyed. I think it was unclear to us as to whether there was a medical director involved, which has all been rectified now, which is great. But the ambulance license expired. But on the other hand, those folks up there deserve to have a chance to get saved. So it makes it real tough. There's no doubt that we want everybody to have an opportunity to have an ambulance show up. I mean, if it was me or my family or my friends or whatever, I mean, everybody feels the same way, I believe. It's just, I don't know. It's that gray area, like you said, between where there's a license for a reason and it not being valid for a reason.
I just would say thank you for your explanation,
Yeah.
Chief, and thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, and I would ditto that again. Thank you for what you do and what you've done. I find myself in a position, not having gone through these ambulance licensing, not hearings, but these situations before this year, being new on the board. I think there is that gray area to an extent. I think saving lives and serving people is better than a piece of paper. Not that the piece of paper isn't important, because it kind of puts us in this awkward position here. But I'm glad that things appear to have been taken care of and approved, and I'm glad everybody's all right that you served. So, thank you.
Now, we had to get our license back. It won't be like that again.
Well, and I do appreciate that the question that Ms. Jackson asked, that The ambulance was set up and ready.
Yeah.
It's been rectified with the doctor. I mean, I feel much better about everything anyway, but again, appreciate everything that. And Commissioners, I'm open to a motion for the ambulance license.
Well, Mr. Chair, if you're ready for a motion, then I will make one for approving, I move that we approve the Deer Mountain ambulance license for BLS. Does it need to say any more than
And
that?
this will expire April 30th of 2022, correct?
That is correct.
To expire April 30, 2022.
Yes. All right, I'll second.
Has been moved and seconded to approve ambulance license, basic life support, which will, for Deer Mountain Fire District, which will expire April 30th, 2022. Any further discussion? I would just want to say one thing too. I know you're doing what you can, and I've been trying to help you as well to try to get staff up there. It seems like you're kind of moving that direction. Hopefully you can advance that to ALS eventually, and we'll see you again for that hopefully, but until then, good luck.
Yes, thank you.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Sir.
Would the commissioners please clarify whether you intend to ask your emergency director to pursue whether there are state sanctions appropriate?
I believe he stated he would, yes.
And that's your
Yes.
direction?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. I think you stated that we didn't, Michael, but yes, if you would check that out for us, appreciate that. Okay, no further